Hello and welcome to this episode of Seasonal Cooking. Today we're going to be making a very simple dish. We are making roast potatoes with squash and carrots. For this dish you will need, of course, potatoes, squash. I would recommend butternut squash, carrots, and then you will also need at least 2 tablespoons of olive oil, a sprinkle of salt, and if you like, you can add some oregano and paprika for an extra kick. The first step is to bring a pot of water to boil. I chose not to peel my potatoes because I was using nice soft skinned potatoes, but if you want to peel them first, that's also okay. Wash your potatoes and then add them to the boiling water. Allow them to boil for at least 30 minutes. In this time, you can prepare your squash and carrots. Cut your butternut squash. I would recommend not starting from the stem like I tried to there, but a fleshier part. Use a spoon to scoop out the seeds and squash guts from the middle of your squash. You may also need to use a knife to cut a little bit out, as these can be a little bit tricky to get out of your squash. Now it's time to cut your squash into pieces. I like to quarter it and then cut all the skin off. Do the tops and bottoms, get all of the skin, and then I can start chopping it into pieces. Squash looks like it'd be really hard to cut up, but it's actually much easier than something like sweet potato. All of my scraps are going into the compost so we can use it to make more soil for next year's garden. Once you have enough squash, it's time to cut up your carrots. I would use about 1 carrot per family member. Then I cut off the tips and tails, as I like to call them, and chop it into pieces. I like my carrots to be about 1/2 inch. You see here I'm trying to take off the peel with a knife, and I am not good at it. I'm glad that I compost because this carrot, well, not much of it ended up on the pan. I ended up giving up and using my peeler again, but if you can use a knife, that's awesome. Let's speed this up. Now our potatoes have been boiling for 30 minutes and they're nice and soft. Now it's time to drain the water and add the cooked potatoes to our mix of squash and carrots. Now I'm cutting up some of the larger potatoes so they can cook evenly with everything else. Now it's time to add our seasoning. I pour on the olive oil. You want to really make sure you can coat all of it with the oil. I'm going to add a bit of oregano and some paprika. And I'm going to mix it all up to make sure it's nice and even. Give it a nice little shake or use a spoon to mix it up. Once all of your veggies are evenly coated, it's time to add them to the pan. Pour them out, make sure it's nice and spread out and even, and then you're ready to roast your veggies. You'll want your oven to be preheated to 400 degrees, and you'll put your veggies in for another 30 minutes. Once they're ready, take them out and serve with protein. Enjoy! I hope you enjoyed this episode of Seasonal Cooking, and I can't wait to hear all about your roasted veggies at home. Thanks for joining us. Bye now.